Here we are, back on a Sunday.
Hello. On a Sunday, can they tell? Because I
I
can.
mean, it's my hat day. You get to see all my new hats.
I
I
know,
have
I
quite the
need to just
collection.
wear hats.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. I need to shake I put a damn bright light on my face. So you're seeing me in full color, folks.
I have one of those. I can never keep it charged.
Well, my kids actually broke mine that I bought,
Uh-huh.
and I was a little heartbroken, I'm not gonna lie. But I bought a lamp, and it's been doing me just I don't know, there's something about this lamp, and I can adjust it, and it's like a desk lamp, and it's been going strong. You can't it's not portable, so children cannot mess with it.
Gotcha. What do those ring
Yeah.
lights actually do?
They cast
Are
a
they just
light, so
supposed
it's
to
kind of like yeah, it's supposed to honestly, so my office is a great example, and your home is more of a warm light, it's not, like, super bright, like, you're not gonna be sitting there under the sun, in your dining you want more of that warm light, and so it can cast shadows in places it's not as bright,
Oh,
and
okay.
so, like, I have overhead lights, kinda like an art gallery in my office, and that's what they remind me of, and so it can be really dark in here, and so it's just like if you were doing, photography, and you remember back in the day when you got your school photos or JCPenney photos, and they cast that big ass light on you?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
exactly
Uh-huh.
the same purpose. It
Gotcha.
gives you, like, that natural light, it's brighter, that's how I mean, I'm sure our old mutual friend who is a
Yeah.
videographer who's more
Yes.
bougie than I am would have better terminology for it, but, that's is the concept. It's more like, right now, this is way brighter than what this room looks like. Because if I turn it off,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
darker.
I see it.
You
Yeah.
can't yeah, honestly, I probably should be in the shadows, but it's okay. But here I am, so
Yeah, I get it.
I'm
It's all
bright.
about the
Yeah,
lighting. He would tell us that,
yeah. Yeah.
our
It's
mutual
always the
friend. Yeah.
lighting. Yeah. I love a good lighting. So no matter makeup, no makeup, crazy hair day, no crazy hair day, I'm for the lighting.
Yeah, I bought one of those because I don't even know why I bought one to use for this, and then I think
Probably
I've
for
only
Zoom
used it once.
too. They're good for
Yeah,
Zoom calls sometimes. But you have
because I
one
never
in
keep
your
it
office.
charged. Yeah,
Yeah.
with my one in my office, it just is built in. Yeah, for my
Yeah.
camera.
And so that you're
Mhm.
right though. The portable one, when we used to record in the beginning, mom would just
Yeah,
die.
yeah.
And so it was kind of annoying anyways. It'd be like the Lord took the light or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like the
You'd be
light just got
halfway
sucked out of
through
the
and then the
room.
light's gone.
Yeah, it's like "Bork." Yeah. So, this lamp stays plugged in. You can't kill it unless I forget
Yeah,
to turn it on. So,
I love that.
yeah, I figured it out. And now I Zoom every day. Or well, we use
Oh,
Zoom, we don't use
yeah.
Teams. So I Zoom all the time. And so I figured it out so that I don't look as, woo, creature from the Black Lagoon coming through the camera, in the dungeon
Yeah.
with my exposed brick back here. Like, woo, so anyways, Blake's on the other side when he works remote and he doesn't have a lighting set up. And so he looks like almost pitch black. Like you can
Does
barely
he?
see his face on
Yeah.
that side. Yeah. So, but it's okay.
Well, we made it through the holiday. Thanksgiving. Was your Thanksgiving good?
It was good. It's so I mean, it's not sad. I don't know. I was kind of reflecting on it the other day where I see all these people and they go to multiple Thanksgivings and I used to when I was younger and I would go to my grandma's or do something with that family on things or around Thanksgiving. It might not have been on the holiday on my dad's side and then I would do, if I had a boyfriend, I had a very steady boyfriend during high school and during my youth. So I went to his home and his family and then his families and, both sides. And I was everywhere all the time. And now I go one place. And it's so interesting for me now because, like, Blake's family's not here. And so then I have no one else I'm going to visit here. So we just go to my grandmother, my nanny's.
Uh-huh.
And but before that, when we lived in Wyoming and our whole marriage, we've always hosted Thanksgiving. And so I used to host it all the time, not being here in North Carolina, so Blake's always made a turkey. He's somehow been designated turkey. Now we've moved back, he's designated turkey again. And so I was reflecting on how, it's just different. Like everyone's like, I'm so stuffed, I'm so tired, I'm like, damn, I'm not. I actually, to be honest, somebody ate all the turkey that was a random invite, and so no one got turkey this year, so, like, it was really weird. There's a little scandal going on over the turkey, and so, like, I'm actually not stuffed, and I was chasing a toddler,
Yeah.
and I was like I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you're just like, "I stand." To be honest, I do sit and eat, I do. I do now more,
Yeah.
and I think it's more of comfortability with sitting and stillness, to be honest, but I was standing because I don't like to be trapped. and the way the table was set up, I felt really closed
Oh,
in. I didn't like it. I
yeah.
need to move
Uh-huh.
around. I don't know. And if my kids are running or Blake's over there screaming or I don't know, he ain't screaming, but like
Yeah,
whoever
I
is
get it.
around that you
Yeah.
want to move. So I just so happened to stand. And where I was standing, it was crazy. It was my mom is like, "Hey Myra, can you cut up my food?" Or like weird shit. Like, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" And I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "I need more of this. Can you grab me that?" And then like Blake had no idea. He's over there far away. He's not paying it. And he's just like, "Oh, are you bringing me a drink?" Because he thought I was bringing him a drink, and it was my drink, and I'm like, "Just take my drink." And then like I'm making trays for him and for my kids and for me. So, anyways, I didn't eat. I ate like a piece of things. So it was just a funny year. And I was just reflecting on that, like how it's so different. And it was still very good. It's very traditional. And then when we're done, we go to my cousin's house who lives right beside my nanny and we light the Christmas tree for the year to kick off the season. And they're technically my grandpa who's passed away long before I was born. It's his side of the family and they're my
Mhm.
nanny's neighbor. So like we've always stayed very close to them. So we get with them and we light the tree and take photos and sing
Outside?
and yeah. Yep. So it's like this big, huge tree. I think it's a holly tree now. I don't even know what it is. And they've done this for 101 years, really. I mean, I've looked at photos and I've had boyfriends come and children that were babies are now adults in their mid 20s. I was a child and now I'm in my 30s. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
everyone's done it and it's just been this traditional thing. So it was great. It was good. I somehow Blake, like I said, is a turkey man. And I have this plate and it's like this big white dish that when you carve the turkey, you put the turkey on the dish
Mhm.
and it's shaped like a big ass turkey. Okay. And
Yeah,
it's a
I
beautiful,
can picture
beautiful
that.
plate. Yeah, it's beautiful. And it was the Biltmore collection because the Biltmore house is here and there's a department store called Belk. So they used to have a Biltmore collection. And my dad bought me this tray and it was in my hope chest. And somehow
Oh, yeah.
every year of my life, I've been married to the person in charge of turkey. So I always carve the turkey and put it on this tray. Yeah. So
I love
like,
that.
yeah. So it's really cool. It's really cool. So there's those little things. So I don't know. That was a mouthful, but I just needed to, I guess, say all that. But it was good. It was just, it was very calm. It's been very calm. We've had one hoorah and then it's just been us.
Yeah, that's nice. Well,
How
good.
was your Thanksgiving?
It was quiet. We went elk hunting, but really just hiking in the woods that morning, which I needed. I needed that
Yeah.
reset. I needed to be in
Hmm.
nature. So it was really good for me. It had been a busy week. I was dealing with a lot of heavy energy last week. My aunt transitioned. There was a lot of heavy
Oh,
energy at work. And so I just really needed that nature to help me reset. And so it was perfect. And then just the two of us, I just made a little turkey breast
oh.
and cheese potatoes and rolls and salad and we just hung out. I took 2 naps. It was just a great day. And you know what I realized? I really don't think I love turkey that much. I'm just like,
I don't either, to be
it's
honest,
okay.
and it's okay. Blake deep fries a turkey, and
Yeah,
I don't know if you've had it before deep
I
fried.
have. Yes, yes.
Okay, to me, that's the only way to eat it.
Yeah,
Like my uncle doesn't like it because it's not dry enough. So he had my nanny, his mom, and we were giving him a very hard time because my nanny's 70 and he's like, or
yeah.
no, 90 and he's
No, I was
70 or
like, she's
whatever.
70? Yeah,
Nah, she's 90, sorry.
yeah,
She's 90 and he's like 70, right? So we were like, "Oh, mommy, make me turkey." We were giving him a really hard time, but I get it. It's his damn mama, and if she wants to
yeah.
make him his own turkey,
Heck
go
yeah.
for it, girl. I
Yeah,
get it. But it was a running little tease, because we're really good at that, and he was a good sport. He laughed, and I didn't care. I get it. So anyways, but the turkey she made him was so damn dry that, like, Blake took a bite of it and someone gave a piece to Draco and he, like, slapped it out of Draco's hands. He will choke. He will not, like,
yes.
it was, like, turning to dust. Like, Blake's like, he couldn't even eat it. It was so dry. So, I don't know. Turkey's hit or miss. I'm not, like, crazy about it, but I do like it deep fried if I can get some skin with it.
Yeah.
But that I don't know. I'm not crazy about it either, really.
Yeah, it was okay, and then I had a couple on my rolls that I make. They're so good, homemade rolls. I did enjoy the turkey
Mhm.
sandwich afterwards, but
Yeah, I think that was our
that was it.
hardest part this year because of the turkey gate.
Yeah,
Is no one had
turkey ate
turkey
no extra
leftovers. You know
turkey.
what I mean? Yeah, like, we
Yeah,
couldn't do anything, and so, like, I
yeah.
usually make, like, a Moravian pie, and I'll do I usually make chicken in it, but after Thanksgiving, I'll do turkey.
Yeah.
And, we really miss, like, the next day turkey, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even the day of turkey that we care about.
Maybe
It's the
it's like
leftovers.
there's yeah, it's the leftovers. Sometimes certain foods, like, need a day,
Mhm.
and then they do taste better. It's kinda strange,
Yeah.
right? But so, this just came to me, and this isn't the topic that we were gonna dive into. Well, it might actually play into it now that I think about it. But this I was listening to Daryl Anka. He channels an
Mhm.
energy called Bashard. If
Mhm.
listeners out there don't know, I just saw this short today and it was really interesting. Was somebody asking him, another channeler had talked about the reason that people hold weight. And you've
Mm,
been very transparent about your weight journey
mhm.
on the podcast. So I hope this is
Yeah.
okay to bring up. But
Yeah.
he talked about the energy of forgiveness, like, because
Mhm.
weight is an energy of not forgiving, but he talked
Mhm.
about it through the lens of forgiving yourself, and it was so
Mhm.
interesting. I'll never forget, like, when you gave yourself, I feel like, a lot of forgiveness, and you were so open, and you were working on a lot of things, and then you made the decision to move from Wyoming to North Carolina, and the last time that you came back to Wyoming,
Mhm.
I remember walking over and you were in the kitchen area where we work, and
Mhm.
you looked like a completely different person to me. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I remember even saying, like, wow, like, and I had just seen you, like, you know,
Yeah.
that summer. It
Yeah.
wasn't like it had been a year or 2 years. And
Couple
you
months.
looked totally different to me. Like, your body was just completely different. You were
Mhm.
transformed. And I remember saying something, and you said something to me like, "I just feel good." Like, I feel good. Like, I
Yeah.
can't remember your exact words, but it really started me thinking, like, it didn't seem like you struggled in that moment to have the body that looked healthy and beautiful and vibrant. That's the way you looked to me in that moment, which is something you seem to be seeking or trying to achieve before, but you weren't able to
Oh,
achieve
yeah.
it, you know? So
Oh,
I was just
no,
curious
100%.
your thoughts on that because I remember
Yeah.
that moment with you very specifically.
Yeah, no, that's a great it's fun because I think about this, not all the time, but I have thought about it recently too, because even after that and more, as I've continued to do the work, I mean, we've talked about it before of using exercise as a deflection, and we'll get into that later too with this topic, but I did. It was the first thing I did when my dad passed away. And before that, I had held weight on my body for many years. And like I joke because, and I said it a couple podcast episodes ago, like literally you walk 45 minutes to fucking class. And I still gained the freshman 30. Okay. And I
Yeah.
was eating excessively. I was doing, you know what I mean? It was just like hatred towards myself. And as I've gotten more comfortable with myself and who I am, and I mean, God, I feel totally different about my body and my mind and myself and who I am. Like, normally, if I hadn't worked out, I think before last summer, or actually before last fall, I think I went 8 years without missing a day of working out. And if I
Wow.
didn't work out in some form, I was mad at myself. I hated myself, or I would not eat enough, and that's lack, that's scarcity,
Right.
that's another,
Yep.
like, you know what I mean, to not nourish yourself. But, like, now even more so, and I went through I fluctuated a little bit in the spring, but I was protecting myself after the job and on the job. There was a whole lot of shit going on, right? And so after I've gone through this again, I think I dropped 10 pounds, like, within a week right after a lot of that happened. I went through what I went
Yeah.
through, and as I continue to forgive myself more and more, it's not a thing. Like, it's not a thing that I think about anymore. I don't even
Yeah.
stress about it. It's not something that's on my mind 24/7 like it used to be. It's like a whole different, like, it's a burden that I no longer carry because it's not mine anymore.
Yeah.
You're right. You're 100% right. So it's been a total different thing. And it's something that I feel really good about. Like, I move my body. I wanna move my body. I do like movement.
Sure.
I believe
Yes.
in
Yeah.
exercise, right? And I do there are times when I'm like, "Damn, I need to move," and I have goals, but it's not the same outcome anymore. It's not like I'm trying to be this certain weight or this certain look anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I have goals because I'd like to move my body, and I believe in moving my body, so Yeah,
Yeah, it makes me think
totally
of,
different thing.
like, you can't have substantial, sustainable change in any way without authenticity, like, truly being
Mhm.
authentic, and that ties into that what I heard today, right? You can't be authentic to who you are unless you release the shame, the guilt, right? Whatever it is that you're packing, whatever you're protecting.
Yeah.
And that comes through what the term that they were using was forgiveness, right?
Mhm.
So I just found that really interesting, and it kind of plays into the topic that we talked about earlier, that topic of deflection. And I think that is a way of deflection. Like one of the clients I worked with today was exactly the same. Like exercise is a form of deflection for them, like using exercise, right? And we put these things in a pretty bow, like this is a healthy way or this is a healthy lifestyle, or we label them in certain ways. And during the conversation, I said, I don't believe in addiction. I believe in deflection. You're just
Mhm.
choosing a more societal, acceptable way to use deflection with running or lifting or whatever it is you do. Other people may choose a less accepting way from society. Maybe that's overconsumption of alcohol or drugs
Mhm.
or, overconsumption of things or sugar or whatever it is. It all comes
Mhm.
back to deflection. And so when I saw you that day, it was like, now that I'm thinking back about it, it's like you freed yourself from all of that. You were no
Yeah.
longer in deflection. You were in flow. You weren't in resistance. You weren't trying to hide anything. You had, faced your own shadows, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw in you because you were just, I'd known you what for 5 years at that point, and it was
Yeah.
like I looked at a completely different individual when I walked
Yeah.
around that corner.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. That's a
Yeah.
compliment, I think. And
Oh yeah, it's a
what's
huge
interesting
compliment. Yeah.
yeah, what's interesting though, so I took some photos at Thanksgiving, and it's funny that you say this because I put them up on Facebook, and I don't post like all the time, but I do in like spurts, and I try to put my kids up there. It's probably bad too, so I know people have opinions on that or whatever, but I just protect them. I'm like, we're fine. Anyways, I don't know. So, not the point. But the point is, when I was looking at the pictures I posted and I was picking the ones I wanted, my eyes look so fucking blue. They look so blue on the ones I posted, on the ones even with flash. Flash is different because, like flash is weird, like we're talking about the lighting here, right? And
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
too, lighting matters, right? But it was the craziest thing. Like these normal photos, I was like, damn, my eyes look really blue. And I was like, I wonder why, and I think that that goes into the weight thing too. I don't know. Like, I feel like my eyes totally just looked so different. It was noticeable to me. I don't know. I don't know. Nobody's ever cross checking my photos, but to me, I was just like, they look really blue because sometimes it's hard to tell that I have blue eyes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not. And sometimes people, I don't know, maybe I'm dramatic, but I feel like there have been times in photos when I don't feel like my eyes look blue. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I
But
get what
just
you're
something
saying.
about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, like my eyes just look blue, like creepily blue. Or it's just like, wow, they're blue. I don't know, like they're really blue. And it was very interesting. I don't know. So I was looking at my eyes in my photos, and that is something that I noticed or I feel like I've noticed has been a change, especially in the last year. It's just like
Yeah.
even my eyes look bluer.
Well, I think that there's truth to the saying, the eyes are the window to the soul, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think when you take photos, you can't help but see the true mirror of who
Mhm.
you are. You know, a
Yeah.
photo really does embody the energy that you're feeling in that space and time.
Mhm.
So, it makes sense. Like, I think, your move and the things that you've done,
Mhm.
you're seeing it in because the energy body is going to dictate the physical body. And
Yeah.
now, you're seeing it on the outside as well.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So anyway, I think that ties in, but not to take us
It does.
off the subject,
It
but
does.
that made
Yeah,
me.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
we took a step to the left, but we're coming back to the right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're coming back. So, yeah, I think today wanted to talk a little bit about the word deflection. And I said that and I stand by that. I think there really is not an addiction, but there's a lot of deflection that people have, deflection from themselves, deflection from sitting with themselves, understanding themselves. And it's kind of been a theme the last couple of days as I've worked with a lot of clients over the last 2 days. And I've asked the question to a couple of them. One of them said to me, I said, "What would you want to express?" And they said, "My truth." And I said, "What is your truth?" And they couldn't answer that question. What they tried to do was tell me a truth about their family. And I'm like, no, no, no.
Mhm.
Nobody else can be involved in this. What is your
Mm.
truth? What do you want to express? And there couldn't be a response because they've never given themselves time to look at that because of deflection, right? They've
Mhm.
never sat with themselves. They've never understood who they are. And I could feel all this energy in the solar plexus that needed some work, right? And they said, "But I've done some work." Well, one little layer of the onion isn't that you got to keep going, keep peeling. Because
Yeah.
if you did all the work, I don't know when that is because I'm still on the journey myself. I don't know where the end
Yeah.
is, but you would be able to tell me what your truth was. What is it you want to speak? And it made me think of, feminine energy is, I believe, what's ruling coming in now. And you're seeing the energy shift. We talk about this sometimes. Masculine energy or patriarchal energy or doing things at all costs, greed, power was the energy of the past. Feminine energy is taking over, and things
Mhm.
that will be successful will be done through the lens of compassion, through the lens of love, through the lens of authenticity. So a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago, I mean, I've stayed in my masculine energy for a long time, and I've known that I needed to be more feminine. So I really started to work with feminine energy. And I just thought about this today when I was working with this client. So I was drawn to the energy of the jaguar, and still have it on where I do my meditation,
Mhm.
call in jaguar energy because it's very feminine, very powerful.
Yeah.
So I would call that energy in all the time. Well, year and a half ago, what did I end up buying? A Jaguar
The
car.
Jaguar.
That's black. And then little more empowerment. Today, one of my clients who has probably seen my car multiple times said, "Is
Mhm.
that your car?" I said, "Yeah." And my license plate says witch on it.
Yeah.
She's like, "I have never noticed that." And I'm like, yeah, I know a lot of people are just starting to notice it. But the funny part about it is when I got the car, I knew I wanted a personalized license plate. And my husband was the one doing the paperwork and he kept asking me for like 30 days, what do you think you want it to say? And I kept coming back to the word witch, but I kept
Mhm.
pulling back because I felt like if I put that on there, I'm going to be judged or the fear
Mhm.
of what that could mean to people. And finally, it was just like, I'm standing in my power. Like, that's the word I want. And I
Mhm.
feel that I have that energy. And so I just went for it. But that is standing in your conviction, standing in
Mhm.
who you are, standing in your truth without allowing this outside energy to dictate what you want to do. And I just kind of put all those things together on how that energy started to align for me clear back 3, 4, 5 years ago when I started to use Jaguar energy to get in more feminine power. Then the car came, then the personalized
Mhm.
license plates come. And people don't, we sit around and we think there's no connection. Everything's connected when you start to look at it. Everything is.
Mhm.
And it's been such a source, that license plate has been a source of conversation over the last few months and people are so
I
drawn
love
to
it.
talk to me about it. It's so cool. It's so cool, right?
I love it.
And it's like I shared that story with this client and I said, "I promise you when you know your truth and you truly know your authenticity, it will feel uncomfortable. You will not
Mhm.
you'll know. That's the beauty of it. When I felt uncomfortable about the word and it kept coming to me, I knew that's exactly what I needed.
Mhm.
Now I could have pulled back. I could have let that vibration drop back down and
Yeah.
I could have put tress on there or something safe, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, moon.
Moon. Stars.
That was in the running.
Yeah, I like it though. I would have been okay.
But this is what I'm talking about. And this is a simple analogy or simple energy line to follow where I didn't allow myself to get deflected. I didn't allow other people and the fear of what they might think of me to come in, right? And that's the energy that we've got to embrace more and more because You can feel it. Right now, the energies are going faster, things are moving
Mhm.
quicker, and you will not be able to hide from it. So, I really want to express this. I told Myra when we started, like, I don't want this to be fearful, but I do want it to be assertive. And I do want people to hear because the energies are moving very quickly and you will be exposed. Truth will come. You can't
Mhm.
hide anymore. Like, there's no time for that. And so if you don't step up now and look at who you are and understand who you are and do some self-reflection, it can be pretty rough. And you're seeing it
Mhm.
already. You're seeing things happen in the world because of this, and you're seeing what we term tragedies and, like we talked about, children are committing suicide at younger ages.
Mhm.
It's the pressure of the energies forcing people to try to look at who they are and truly live in their authentic spaces. So I'll
Yeah, I
stop and let
agree.
you respond.
Yeah, no, this is funny first, and then I'll go back to being
Yeah.
serious. But it's random that you bring up license plates because
Yeah.
today I got to hang out with a friend yesterday. We met up with them. We went to this like play place. It was really cute. It was like this home converted into like this tree house for kids. You know what I mean? So like Draco's like balls to the wall, so he needs to run around, and Nola can
Sure.
play, and her kids are the same. And they have two kids, and then we could talk and be with the kids and play. It was a really cool place. Anyways, she went home, and when she went home, she was driving down the road and she passed a van and the license plate said Myra. She sent it to me. So anyways, I had to bring that up because I'm like, how weird you're talking about your license plate. Like I randomly got this video today with my name on a license plate. And so
Oh,
that
that's
just made me laugh
hilarious.
when I thought about it. I
No,
was
we
like,
need
oh, that's weird.
laughter. We can't be all
That was
serious.
funny.
Laughter is amazing. That is
Yeah,
funny.
so she's and it had another A, so it's like Myra. So anyways, they sent me her and her husband sent a video going, Myra. It was just funny. It was really funny. But yeah, you're totally but with all, back to the subject, you're totally right. I agree with you. And for me personally, I had to face a lot of fucking truths. I was 100% exposed this year. And I was exposed in first inwardly, and then in my marriage, and then outwardly to those around me. The connection that I have with my husband and my partnership, we had to make mutual agreements of what our next steps were going to be. So first myself, then together, and then outwardly I had so those around me know. And I'll talk about it on the podcast one day, but today's not the day for that episode. I had to really confront everything, a facade, and I really do feel that I've been a very genuine person. I'm a genuine person, but I was hiding through shame and guilt in a different area of my life, and I wasn't being truthful about that particular area. And it was built on a rocky foundation. It was built with instability. I wasn't safe, as Tress and I were talking before, we were talking about the chakra system, and if your root chakra is out of balance, then your solar plexus can be overactive or underactive. And I think about different points in my
Mhm.
life where it totally fucking was both. I went through both ends of the spectrum, and I used maybe even at times sex as a deflection, or that sexual energy in
Sure.
a wrong way
Mhm.
as a deflection. And I wasn't very honest with people or partners at times in my life because I wasn't stable in my root chakra. And so as I've become more and more stable and safe and secure, and what I've gone through isn't related to sexualness, but anyways,
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
but it's part of that stability. It's part of the
Mhm.
the, the scarcity mindset fear. I didn't feel safe. So I could not be supported in this other area of my life. And so I had built a foundation on sand, right? And so I had to really, I've been doing a lot of work. I've been seeing Tressa as a practitioner for 4 years now. And I remember those first sessions and things. And I don't know, I've always been comfortable in the sessions because I believe in honesty and I believe in speaking honestly out of my mouth. And I'm a very direct person naturally. I want the truth and I want to tell people the truth. And typically people seek me out for truth, like give it to me straight kind of energy, right?
Yeah.
But, and I'll get to that too, but I just want to say, I've had to really totally strip the onion to the core, and I've been full on fucking exposed. And then now, it's then working through all the other things. Cause once all that starts unraveling, other things have been exposed to me. Like you're saying, it's a journey that I totally didn't know or that I didn't see at the time because I couldn't see past the other things, right? Or I was running and running as a deflection or working out as a deflection, literally, or whatever, running
Yeah.
from places as a deflection or doing this as a deflection or, whatever. And until I actually sat with myself, I would never truly get through what I needed to get through. And so it's made me more comfortable in now who I am and what I'm doing. And there's nothing to hide behind. And I can't hide
Yeah,
behind. And I'm so grateful for that. I wouldn't trade this year for the world. And, this year is a 9 if you do the numerology, and it's the close. It's the end of a chapter, and it's for me, I know exactly what that chapter is, and I am not mad at it, and I'm not mad at anything that's happened, and it's been a beautiful experience for me, but I'm fully, full on 100% in my authenticity now. And so that for me is amazing. And so going back to speaking the truth and the brutality of it, growing up, um, I've had people, we talked about feeling small. That's one of those areas because I am a communicative person and, I see things as they are, and there's the duality, I like zodiacs and I feel like that plays into some things, and I'm a Gemini, so there's that duality, right? I can see all the sides, the both sides of it. And so there is this part of it where I can see these sides and then there's the information and here's how it is. And I've had people say you're too blunt, you hurt my feelings, but it's because they don't want to hear it. And it's nothing and I've never said anything mean. I never said anything
yeah,
rude or the intent and it depends on intention 100%.
yes, it
Um
does.
and so there have been times when it was not intentionally okay, right? But in those moments when the intention was pure and good, people would get upset or uncomfortable. So I've sugarcoated shit. And I was faced with
Yeah,
a circumstance last spring where I was dealing with an employee, and I definitely probably fucking sugarcoated a little too long for that employee. But in the end, the person I was at the end is exactly the same the conversations I should have had, and nothing I said to that individual was mean. It wasn't rude. It wasn't wrong either. I think it went very well, but they were shattered. They were totally shattered. And that was a big lesson I learned is that was a huge lesson for me because yes, I had those conversations with them for a very long time. And there's proper writing and information, all those things. And Tressa knows that as well. Everything is properly taken care
yeah,
of as it should be. But I sugarcoated in some of the conversations, and because of the softness, they didn't they heard what they wanted to hear, and it only caused them pain in the end, and it was a lesson for me as a person to know, you gotta say it as it is. And so that is something that I also learned this year too, on top of all this fun stuff, like, it's been fun. Actually, no, that was last year. It was a year ago. So anyway, so that was a start of this, I feel like, with being in my truth. So it's been a year now, but it was part of this snowballing effect of like, okay, how do you stand in your own truth, but how are you also communicating to others in truth? And, as I've become more secure in myself too, I no longer am holding back. It said it is what it is. And I think about even family dynamics and sugarcoating and how you're like dancing
mhm.
around and blah, blah, blah. But that's creating negative energy. That's not creating flow. You're making attachments. That's just too much. And so now that it's in the state of like, you're right, everything is out in the open, everything is exposed. There is no hiding. You cannot deflect. I've been standing more in my truth too with how I'm communicating to others and I'm not holding back, and if with good intention, with a pure, I tune into my heart chakra first
Yeah,
before I come to the throat, And how is this going to, what am I trying to do here? Making sure that I am, and honestly, since I've been doing that, I've had no issues. There's been not a situation where I've heard someone's been upset. It's actually gone better. It's been smoother. It's been in pure flow. People that were once really sensitive to that aren't sensitive to it anymore. I feel like it's been just so much better the more truth that I'm in my own truth. And then if I stand in my own truth, the more I can say the truth.
yeah, I think that's the key, like, you have to be in your own truth first
Hmm.
before before you can give truth to anybody else or accept
Hmm.
truth from other people, right? And that's learning that what is that truth for you? That goes back to authenticity, right? That goes back to understanding who you are. And I always think about I have this in my office, you probably remember it's on a mug, and it's from a Brene Brown book
Hmm.
called what's it called? Something leading. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Dare to lead.
But
No.
Dare to Lead, thank you.
Oh,
Dare
yeah.
to Lead. And in there was a saying and she talked about being clear is kind.
Hmm.
Being clear with your words is kind. So often we're all like trying to pussyfoot around, right? Or
No,
make
really, yeah.
somebody feel you really are. And you do it in all different aspects of your
Mhm,
life. You can do it in your job, you can do it with your family, you can do it with your friends. And it's a lower vibration. You end up lowering your vibration
yep,
and not standing in your own truth and your own authenticity. And that just causes a ripple effect to that.
mhm,
And it was interesting as you were talking, I was thinking about this happened to me and I was getting information told to me by people and I didn't want to hear it, even though I knew it was true.
mhm,
And it was over, well, it wasn't non-significant, but my truck blew up. I think it was
mhm,
in September.
mhm.
And I was driving it when it happened. And when it happened, I knew something that wasn't good. Like I knew,
Yeah,
I could feel it. And anyway, leave the truck, was in the mountains, come home, got towed. I remember telling my husband was telling my brother-in-law about it, and he's like, "Well, your truck's blown up." And I got so angry. "Oh, it's not blown up. They
mhm.
don't know that." And then I was
Yeah,
telling a friend about it, and they're like, "Well, it sounds like your truck blew up." And I was like, just so resistant to it, even though
yeah,
I knew, but I
mhm,
didn't want to believe it, right? I was like, "Oh, why would that?" I don't want this truck to be blown up. That's going to be, I went into the money aspect of it.
yeah,
And as they were speaking the truth that I already knew, I was resisting them. I was like,
yeah,
who are you to say that?
yeah,
You know, don't tell me that because I didn't want
yeah.
to hear it, even though I
Don't you
knew
put that
it.
evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Don't you put that evil on me. Don't you speak
Yeah,
that into existence. Well, it was already existing. It
yeah,
was,
yeah,
and it was just funny as you were talking, I was thinking about that because I just wasn't, I knew in the moment, like, it's fucked. Like, this ain't good.
yeah,
Like, this ain't gonna end well.
yeah,
But I didn't want other people to tell me yet. I wasn't ready to hear from them yet. And I just
yeah,
think about that resistant energy, because but it goes back to the fact that deep down I knew and I wasn't ready to face my own truth. So I didn't want somebody else
mhm,
mirroring it to me.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's so
that's tough.
interesting.
And I try to pay attention to
Yeah,
that. Are they ready to hear it? And is it my place to speak it? Or should I just sit and hold space for them?
yeah, I agree. 'Cause I go through that too, and that we've talked about that before. I feel like, that's something that I've been learning also is being in that energy and really tuning into my heart first. Do I need to just sit and listen and hold space? Is it what do I need to do in this moment? Do I even need to act? And I also think that that's part of balancing my masculine and my feminine energy too, and same for you.
Mhm.
Before, I did stay in masculine energy a lot as a form of protection, and as I've softened and really leaned into my safety and my security of myself and what I'm doing and really facing my own truth and being comfortable with me, like, I can be in more flow. I don't even it's not as hard to guess or think. I'm not reacting. I don't react. I think. You know what I mean? Like, it's part of that where, okay, I know now what needs to come from me in this moment and what doesn't, and that's me being in more of a flow state.
Yeah, I think that's responsive energy. Responsive energy
Yeah.
equals flow state to me. Reactive energy equals more aggressive. And then there's
Mhm.
the passivity energy that we can go into
Yeah.
where we just like clam up. Even though we might want to speak something, we don't know how, so we just get small around people. That sweet spot is always that responsive energy, and the responsive energy may be telling you this person can't hear that right now. You just need to
Mhm.
listen. That can be responsive
Yeah.
energy. They're not
Yeah.
going to hear you yet. They're not ready for information to be given to them
Mhm.
or you're not the person to give it to them, or
Yeah.
you are and you can do it in a kind, caring way. And I think about that, clear is kind. It is true. It is
Mhm.
kind to be truthful and clear because you know when you're being bullshitted because we feel energy. The words are
Yeah.
secondary, so
Mhm.
I'd rather just have the words match the energy. I already know when you're bullshitting me. You can feel it.
Mhm.
And then you start the dialogue and you start digging, right? Well, you think about a relationship and your spouse or your whatever comes home and you can feel that they're tense. And you're like, "Are you mad at me?" "No."
Mhm.
"Well, what's wrong?" And you start the digging process.
Yeah.
And pretty soon you're in a fight over something that didn't even exist. Maybe they just had a bad
Yeah.
day and they need some time to decompress. We're very
Mhm.
narcissistic sometimes.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, too, I love that. I love clear is kind because I feel that's how I wanna be I know it's always how I wanna be communicated to. I do not
Mhm.
like being bullshitted personally. People that like being sugarcoated to, that ain't for me. I don't. I want you to give it to me straight. I don't wanna second guess because if the way I view it is I already know, 1.
Yeah.
2, if I'm asking you or coming to a human being for advice, information, guidance, etc., I'm coming to you to get what you need to say to me. Because if the more around and around you know that it's not truthful. So I think about that and it's, the golden rule treat others the way you want to be treated. I mean, truly though, that's how I want
Yeah.
to be treated. And, and that's the way I view it too. So I do believe in being clear. And, I just went through this experience a couple weeks ago with my current job, and I really did. I thought about it for a minute and I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and not say anything. But then the more I sat there and didn't say something back because it was a one on one with my boss, I'm thinking, okay, am I just being an asshole now? Because now me not saying something is in spite. Me not saying something
Mhm.
was being an ass. Truly, I was being mean. I was being not okay. And I knew me holding back wasn't fair to me or my boss in that moment. And so
Yeah.
finally, and then did give me enough space to breathe it and like, okay, how am I going to say this? And I didn't sugarcoat it. And I said what I needed to say. And he thanked me after. He's like, no, thank you. I needed to
Yeah.
hear that. This is what I wanted you to say. And he's like, don't, I would rather you say that. So, in that moment, I could have sat there in my own feelings and been mad because I was a little upset. I'm not going to lie. I was a little upset. And so being upset was me withholding information or like me not
Yeah,
saying
I get
anything,
it.
like me just being a bitch, really, honestly.
I'm
And
taking
just
my
like
ball
this.
and my bat and I'm going home. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I'll just go bitch about you in my
Yep.
diary. So but he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. It wasn't even him, but the more I said what I needed to say, the better I personally felt. And that also goes back into being secure with myself. I'm not worried about, there's not an outcome that I'm worried about. And what I said was, again, I wasn't being aggressive. I wasn't being out of control. It wasn't out of anger. Me holding back was out of anger. But me being honest in the moment and how I presented that and the conversation that came from it was what needed to happen. And I wasn't worried, before my anxiety would have spun out and been like, he's going to fire me. Oh my God. Or he hates me. He won't respond to me, or whatever, because that's energy I used to go into also after I would say something to somebody because I wasn't secure enough in that. Cause I was like, oh God, I was honest. Oh no, do they hate me now?
Mhm.
And so now, like, I wasn't even a thought anymore that crossed my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, it's just I think it's time for people to really find their truth, find their authenticity, find what that is, and then really honor it from a space of that calm, assertive space, right? Not through aggression. One of my clients was interesting. We were talking about like your vibration, and as your
Mhm,
vibration changes, people who don't match your vibration, one of two things, you'll drop down to make them feel okay, or they'll
mm,
just kind of leave your sphere because it
yeah,
doesn't match vibrationally. And she was talking about an individual in her life, and she's like, said it very aggressively, like, I just said life's too short. I'm not going to let them in my world. And I was like, that isn't throughout the authentic way of doing it,
yeah,
though. That's through aggression. That's an overbalance. So you paying attention to that and letting it balance. If you just stay where you need to be in your own truth, everything will align. You don't ever
mm,
have to go into the aggression or the passivity. It will align, but we get uncomfortable there. So I
mhm,
think it's a call to action right now to really look at what you're using as deflection, because you've got to let go of that to be with
mhm,
yourself, to really understand what your truth is, to understand who you are, to understand the authenticity that's unique to you, because what serves you may not serve me, and that's okay. It
mhm,
doesn't have to be similar, right? We're always trying to make the other person what we like and what we're familiar with. We're trying to manipulate others into doing because we want to
mhm.
feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And that just goes back to not trusting yourself or knowing who you are. When you do and you come out the other side and you work on it more and more, you don't need that from somebody else ever.
Mm-mm.
You're not looking for that.
Mm-mm.
And it's just, I just want to say, now's the time. Now's the time to start working on it because it's not going to get easier.
Yeah, I agree. And one last thing I want to say, as you were talking, it made me think
Yeah.
about just I no longer have attachments to the outcome of that conversation anymore. And in all the conversations that I've had that were considered brutal or hard or difficult conversations, in those moments, I had no attachments to the outcome. And they turned out better than expected, or there I
Mhm.
wasn't trying to manipulate the conversation or I wasn't trying to make the person feel better. I was just honest about myself. Or if in situations where I needed accountability for myself, I was full on accountable and didn't make them feel guilty or shameful or manipulate them into believing or gaslighting,
Right.
into believing they were the reason I acted away. You know what I mean? Or you know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
so, like, in those moments, I can think of several conversations in my life, and the truth, like we've said, when you're in your truth and you're truly in that place of security and you have no attachments to those outcomes, it is a place that you can really be in and stand your ground in. And you're in this level of energy where you're leveling up, and the people that you're with, if it's involving another person, they're either going to come up with you or they're going out. You're not shrinking down. And sometimes in those moments, life is going to push you to the point, or not push you to the point, but like if you're not making the things, the universe will make it happen. You know what I'm talking about? I think like it's going to happen. Like
Yes.
it's going to
Yeah.
you can't run from it. It's gonna fucking happen. You know what I mean? It's
No,
if
you
you're not
can't. You
learning or
can't run from
changing
it.
on your own, sometimes there's that it comes to a head, right? And that's what I'm not like pushes you to the point, but it kind of does. The universe is going to be like, "Nah, here you go." And so in those moments when you've got to that point, it's those are the sucky parts because it is hard and more difficult because you're not, sometimes we're so busy hanging on again to attachments on the other side of it, to a persona, to an identity, to a lifestyle, to a belief system, to a moment, or whatever, or a concept or theory. You're holding on to your truck, or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or in any of those situations. And so having that, not having attachments and just standing in your truth, I think is the key to really moving through this new energy.
Yeah, I definitely the interesting thing about that was I didn't like that truck anyway, but I was attached
Yeah.
to the money that the truck
Yeah.
represented that I was losing in
Hmm.
my monkey mind.
Hmm.
That was what I was attached to. And
Yeah.
it was interesting as it's all played out, like what you were saying earlier, like I had intuition several months before that that thing needed to go, and I didn't listen to myself. My
Yeah.
guides were telling me, get rid of it and didn't listen. So it was just a value. Now, on the other side of it, I feel immense gratitude because it was just another lesson for me. Do not stop listening. Do not stop trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Trust your intuition because when you do, these things don't happen. It does
Hmm.
flow smoother. It does flow easier. Wouldn't have had to experience that had I listened,
Exactly.
3 months ago, three
Trust
months
me,
before it happened.
that's the
Yeah.
story of my last year and a half. I didn't fucking listen to shit. I didn't listen to
Yeah.
myself. I didn't listen to my intuition. I didn't listen to anything or anyone. I just kept pushing, 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 right? And then life came to a head for me in several aspects over the year and a half. And it pushed me to the point where I had to go through it a little more difficult than it needed to be.
Yep.
Like, damn, that sucked.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it was so funny. I actually and then I'll shut up. But before I got on here, I pulled out my mic and my headset from I have like a little filing cabinet here that I keep like it rolls under my desk. And I pulled it out to get ready for the episode. And I don't even know why it's in this drawer. I mean, my children could have put it here. I don't know. But it was my wedding announcement. And I looked at that little
Oh,
cute
wow.
couple on it. And I was like, damn, if I could tell you some shit. Like, if I could just give them some advice, like, I wish I could, but then I thought to myself, "No," because it had to happen the way it happened. But it didn't I wish it wouldn't have been so fucking hard, but I did it to myself, and I thought about all the
Yeah.
times, like, I was reflecting, just looking at this couple, I was looking, like, this naive, stupid little dumbass girl here, like, gosh, but it's funny, it's just like yeah, well, it happened, like, it had to happen, but it was a little harder than it needed to happen, right? And so, If I would've
Yeah,
just listened, if I would've stopped being so aggressive and so obsessed with an outcome attachment, if I would've stopped being so defensive and deflective and not willing to face myself or face what was in front of me or face what's inside of me or face what's around me for God's sakes, then it wouldn't have had to be this fucking hard, you know? So, but
yeah, I totally
here
get
we
it.
are, you know what I mean?
Here we are. Yep. And that goes back to the topic that we talked about tonight. Like, you can't get there if you're constantly in deflection. You have to sit
Mhm,
with yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to trust that. And you have to really love that authenticity that is you and really honor it.
mhm.
So, work on that, friends.
Yep, 100%,
And until next time, keep your vibrations way high.
and stay sassy.